Hello there, and welcome to Quiet Wisdom. I'm so glad you found this quiet corner of the internet. Whatever kind of day you have had, whether it was busy and loud or long and tiring, it is over now. You have crossed the threshold. You are inside, and the world is outside. Take a moment to listen to the rain falling against the window. It is a heavy, steady rhythm, a shield of water that separates you from the noise of the day. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Let your jaw unclench. Let the tongue rest on the floor of your mouth. Allow your breathing to slow down, matching the rhythm of the rain. Tonight, we are going north. We are leaving the modern world behind to travel to the pine forests and the grey fjords of Scandinavia. But we are not going to fight. We are going to build. We are going to smell the pine tar, feel the rough wool of the sail, and sit by the fire in the Longhouse while the snow falls. You do not need to remember any dates. You do not need to learn anything. You just need to drift along with the story. And just before we begin, if these quiet journeys into the past help you find rest, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It helps us keep the fire burning. Now, let's begin. To the Age of the Vikings. Chapter 1. The Forest of Oak. It is the year 790 AD. The rain is falling here too, but it is not the warm rain of the south. It is a cold, grey drizzle that clings to the trees and turns the ground into a sponge of moss and needles. We are standing in a forest in Norway. The trees here are ancient, towering pines, massive oaks. They rise up like pillars in a cathedral of green. The canopy is so thick that the sky is almost invisible. It is twilight. The sun is low, casting long blue shadows through the trunks. The air is sharp. It smells of pine resin. It smells of damp earth. It smells of snow that hasn't fallen yet, but is waiting in the clouds. You are wrapped in a heavy cloak made of coarse wool. The lanolin in the wool keeps the rain out. You are warm inside your layers. We are here to build a ship, the Viking longship, the Drakkar, the dragon. It is the most advanced machine of its time, a vessel capable of crossing the wildest oceans on Earth. But before it is a ship, it is a tree. We walk through the forest, looking. We are looking for the spine of the ship, the keel. We need a single, massive oak tree, straight, strong, free of rot. The master shipbuilder, the Lidang, walks ahead of us. He touches the bark of the trees. He looks up at the branches. He stops. He finds it. A giant oak, standing alone in a clearing. It is 3 feet wide at the base. It rises 60 feet into the air without a bend. This tree has been growing here for 200 years. It has survived blizzards. It has survived storms. It has stored the strength of the earth in its fibers. Now, the work begins. Listen to the sound of the iron axe. Thwack. It bites into the wood. Thwack. It is a slow, rhythmic sound. It echoes through the silent forest. The chips of wood fly. They land on the moss. They smell sweet and sharp. The scent of fresh sap fills the clearing. It takes hours to fell the tree. The men work in shifts. They do not rush. They respect the wood. Finally, with a great groan, the tree begins to tip. Creak. Crash. It hits the forest floor. The ground shakes. Now, the shaping begins. In the modern world, we would take this log to a sawmill. We would use circular saws to cut it into planks. But the Vikings do not saw. They rave. This is a crucial difference. When you saw wood, you cut across the grain. You make the wood weak. When you rive wood, you split it. You follow the natural grain of the tree. The builders use iron wedges. They hammer them into the end of the log. Clang, clang. The wood splits with a loud crack. It opens up. It reveals its heart. They split the log in half, then into quarters, then into eighths. They create pie-shaped wedges of oak. These are the strakes, the planks. Because they follow the grain, these planks are incredibly strong. They can bend without breaking. They can twist with the waves. They are flexible, like a bow. The builders take their axes. They smooth the planks. This is called hewing. Scrape, chop, scrape, chop. They turn the rough, splintered wood into smooth, flat boards. Run your hand over the wood in your mind. It is cool and damp. It is smooth as polished bone. You can feel the life of the tree in it. We drag the timber out of the forest. We use horses, heavy, shaggy ponies with breath that steams in the cold air. We drag the wood down to the edge of the fjord. The fjord is a deep, narrow inlet of the sea. The water is dark green, almost black. Steep granite cliffs rise up on either side, disappearing into the mist. The water is calm here, sheltered. On the pebble beach we lay the keel. It is the single longest piece of wood, the backbone. It is T-shaped. It is heavy. It settles into the stones of the beach. Now, the ship begins to rise. The Vikings use a method called clinker building, lap strake. They do not place the planks edge to edge. They overlap them. The bottom edge of the top plank overlaps the top edge of the bottom plank. It looks like the feathers of a bird or the scales of a fish. This creates a shell that is incredibly watertight. But how do you connect them? You need iron. We turn to the blacksmith. He has set up a small forge on the beach, a charcoal fire burning in a pit of stones. He is making rivets, iron nails with round heads, and little square plates called roves. The sound of the shipbuilding changes. It is no longer the soft thud of wood. It is the ringing of metal. Clang, tap, tap, clang, tap, tap. The builder drills a hole through the two overlapping planks. He pushes the iron rivet through from the outside. On the inside, another man puts the square metal rove over the point of the nail. Then, the builder hits it. He flattens the iron point. He mushrooms it over. He clinches it. The two planks are locked together. Iron and oak. They tighten. The wood compresses. There are thousands of rivets in a longship, thousands of tiny iron fists holding the ship together. The hull rises. It curves outward. It is a shape of pure beauty. It is symmetrical. It is streamlined. It looks like it is moving even when it is sitting on the rocks. But wood and iron are not enough. The sea is wet. The sea is relentless. We need a seal. We need tar. In the forest, there are pits dug into the ground. Tar kilns. The workers take the roots of the pine trees, the resinous, sticky roots. They pile them into the pit. They cover them with turf. They light a fire. The heat sweats the resin out of the wood. It drips down into a pot at the bottom. This is pine tar. Stockholm tar. It is a thick, black, sticky liquid. The smell of it is overpowering. It smells of smoke, of turpentine, of deep, dark forest. It is the smell of the Viking age. The builders take brushes made of sheepskin. They dip them into the hot tar, slap, spread. They coat the hull, inside and out. The golden wood turns black. The tar soaks into the grain. It waterproofs the ship. It protects it from the rot. It protects it from the worm. The ship becomes a shadow. You are standing on the beach, watching the hull turn black. The rain is falling on the wet tar. It beads up. It rolls off. The ship is waterproof. It is ready for the water. But it is not finished yet. We need the ribs, the internal skeleton. The builders go back to the forest. They are looking for something specific. They are looking for crooked timber. They do not want straight wood for the ribs. They want wood that has grown in a curve. They find a branch that curves naturally. like a human rib. They cut it. By using the natural curve of the grain, the rib is 10 times stronger than if they had carved a straight log into a curve. They are using the intelligence of the tree. They fit the ribs inside the hull. They lash them to the cleats with spruce roots. Why lash them? Why not nail them? Because the ship needs to flex. If the ship is too rigid, the waves of the North Atlantic will snap it in half. But if the ribs are tied with flexible roots, the whole ship can twist. It can move like a snake over the waves. It can absorb the power of the ocean. It is a living thing. The hull is complete. It sits on the beach, 60 feet long, narrow, dangerous, beautiful. The prow, the front of the ship, rises high into the air in a graceful spiral. The carver comes. He takes his chisels. He sits at the prow. He begins to carve the dragon head. He carves deep eyes. He carves a snout. He carves scales. It is a face of fury. It is meant to scare the spirits of the sea. It is meant to scare the enemies on the land. But right now, it is just wood. It smells of shavings. The sun begins to set over the fjord. The light turns purple. The mist rolls in from the sea, covering the black water. The workers put down their tools. The axes are silent. The hammers are silent. The only sound is the water lapping against the stones. Lap, lap, lap. You walk up to the ship. You touch the hull. The tar is still tacky. It is warm from the pot. You feel the texture of the rivets, the bumps of iron. This vessel is a shell. It is a container. It is designed to hold 30 men and keep them safe in the middle of a freezing ocean. It is the ultimate safe container. You climb inside the hull. It is dry. The curve of the sides protects you from the wind. You lie down on the bottom boards. You look up. You see the ribs of the ship arching over you. You see the gray sky framed by the gunnels. You smell the pine tar and the oak. You are safe here. The ship is on the land, but it is ready for the sea. It is a cradle. The day's work is done. The tree has become a shape. The chaos of the forest has been turned into the order of the ship. The rain falls on your face. It is cool. You close your eyes. You imagine the ship moving. Not yet, but soon. You imagine the feeling of the keel cutting the water. But for tonight, it is still. It is heavy. It is grounded on the beach. Let the smell of the forest fill your lungs. Deep pine, rich earth. You are part of the build. You are part of the wood. Rest in the hull. Rest in the dragon. Sleep. Chapter 2. The clinker hull. The massive oak tree has been felled. The echoes of the axe have faded into the moss of the forest floor. The timber has been dragged down the mountain paths by the shaggy ponies, their breath steaming in the cold air, until we have arrived at the edge of the water. We are standing on the pebble beach of a fjord in Norway. It is early morning. The sun is hidden behind a veil of thick, grey clouds, casting a flat, shadowless light over the world. The water of the fjord is still and dark, a mirror of black glass reflecting the steep granite cliffs that rise up on either side. It is quiet here. The only sound is the gentle lapping of the water against the stones and the rhythmic breathing of the shipbuilders. We are about to witness the birth of the hull. We are about to see the construction of the shell that will hold life safe against the chaos of the North Atlantic. It begins with the spine. Lying on the beach, supported by wooden blocks, is the keel. It is the single largest piece of wood in the ship. It was hewn from the heart of the giant oak we found in the forest. It is T-shaped in cross-section. It is heavy, solid, and straight. The keel is the foundation. Everything grows from this line. If the keel is strong, the ship is strong. If the keel is true, the ship will fly. The master builder, the ledang, walks the length of the keel. He runs his hand along the wood. He is checking for knots. He is checking for splits. He finds none. The wood is perfect. It is cool and damp to the touch, seasoned by the winter air. Now, the ribs and the skin must be added. In the shipyards of the south, the Romans and the Greeks built their ships by setting up the internal skeleton first, the ribs, and then nailing the planks to them. It was a rigid way to build. It made ships that were stiff and heavy. But the Vikings are different. They build from the outside in. They build the skin first. This is the secret of the clinker method. The builders bring the first planks. These are the strakes. They are long, thin boards of oak. They have been split, not sawn, so the natural grain of the wood runs the full length of the board. This makes them flexible. They are like giant bows, full of tension and strength. They lay the first strake against the keel. This is called the garboard strake. It is the most important plank. It is the one that twists the most. It has to transition from the vertical keel to the horizontal bottom of the boat. To make the wood bend, they must use heat and moisture. They have built a fire on the beach. They hold the plank over the flames, keeping it wet with mops soaked in seawater. The heat softens the lignin in the Aiti Turks wood. The fibers relax. The plank begins to droop. It accepts the curve. The builders move quickly but calmly. They clamp the hot, steaming wood to the keel. They force it into shape. And then they lock it. This is the rhythm of the shipyard, the rhythm of the rivet. The Viking ship is not held together by wooden pegs or glue. It is held together by iron. The blacksmith is working nearby. He is heating small rods of iron in a charcoal fire. He hammers them into nails with round heads. He hands a nail to the builder. The builder drills a hole through the keel and the plank. He pushes the iron nail through from the outside. On the inside of the ship, another man is waiting. He holds a small, square washer made of iron. It is called a rove. He places the rove over the point of the nail. Then, the builder on the outside holds a heavy hammer against the head of the nail. The man on the inside takes his own hammer. He strikes the point of the nail. The iron is soft. It squashes. It mushrooms out over the rove. This is called clinching. As the iron cools, it shrinks. It pulls the nail tight. It squeezes the wood of the plank against the wood of the keel with immense force. Iron and oak, two elements of the earth, locked together for eternity. They move down the line. Hole, nail, rove, hammer. Hole, nail, rove, hammer. It is a slow, methodical process. There are thousands of rivets in a longship. Each one must be set by hand. Each one must be perfect. If one rivet is loose, the water will get in. So they take their time. They finish the garboard strake. Now, they add the second strake. And here is the genius of the clinker design. They do not place the second plank edge to edge with the first. They overlap them. The bottom edge of the second plank sits on top of the upper edge of the first plank, like the shingles on a roof, like the scales on a fish. This overlap gives the hull immense strength. It creates a ridge running the length of the ship. This ridge cuts the water. It gives the ship stability. They rivet the second plank to the first. The hull begins to rise. It curves outward and upward. It is a shape of pure symmetry. The builders do not use blueprints. They do not use paper drawings. They carry the shape of the ship in their minds. They use their eyes. They use lengths of string to measure the width. They use their thumbs to check the curve. It is an organic process. The ship grows like a plant. As the sides get higher, the curve becomes more pronounced. The ship is taking on the shape of a shallow bowl. a saucer that will skim over the waves rather than plowing through them. But a wooden shell is not enough. The ocean is relentless. The water will try to find a way in. Even the tightest joint between two planks is not perfectly watertight. We need a seal. We need caulking. The builders bring out the wool. It is raw sheep's wool, or sometimes the hair of a cow. It has been spun into a loose, thick thread. They dip this wool into a pot of hot pine tar. The smell of the tar fills the air. It is a thick, pungent scent. It smells of deep forests and smoke. It is a preserving smell. They take the tar-soaked wool. They place it between the overlapping planks before they rivet them together. When the rivets are tightened, the wood squeezes the wool. The wool expands. It fills every microscopic gap. It creates a gasket. The ship becomes a sealed capsule. It is a beautiful thought that the hair of a sheep, an animal of the land, protects the men from the water of the sea. The hull continues to rise. 5 strakes, 6 strakes, 7. The ship is 60 feet long, but it is light. The planks are less than an inch thick. This is the philosophy of the Viking ship: flexibility. A heavy, rigid ship tries to fight the ocean. When a massive wave hits a rigid ship, the wood cracks. The force is too great. But the Viking ship does not fight. It dances. The clinker hull is designed to twist. When a wave lifts the bow, the stern can twist slightly. The whole ship can flex like a snake. It absorbs the energy of the wave. It rides over the top. It is the principle of the willow tree versus the oak tree. The willow bends in the wind and survives. The oak stands rigid and breaks. The Vikings built willow trees of the sea. Now that the skin is finished, we must give it a skeleton. We must put the ribs inside. The builders return to the forest. They are looking for specific trees. They are not looking for straight logs anymore. They are looking for curves. They look for a branch that grows out of a trunk at a sharp angle, or a root that curves deep into the ground. They cut these curved pieces. They bring them to the beach. They shape them into ribs. These ribs are placed inside the hull, spaced a few feet apart. They provide the vertical strength. They keep the sides from collapsing. But here is the most surprising detail of all. They do not nail the ribs to the keel. If you nailed the internal skeleton to the external skin, the ship would become too stiff. It would lose its flexibility. So, how do they attach them? They lash them. The builders take the roots of spruce trees, long, thin, fibrous roots. They soak them in water until they are soft as rope. They drill holes in the cleats on the planks. They thread the spruce roots through. They tie the ribs to the skin. The ship is literally tied together with roots. This allows the connection to move. It gives the joint a fraction of an inch of play. Imagine the ship in a storm. The hull twists, the ribs shift, the spruce roots stretch and contract. The ship is working as a single biological organism. It creates a sound, the song of the ship. When a Viking ship is at sea, it creaks, it groans, it sighs, it talks to the crew. It tells them it is handling the stress. But here on the beach, it is silent. The structure is complete. The ship sits on the stones. It is elegant. It is low. It looks like a predator. The prow, the front of the ship, rises high into the air. It spirals up into a graceful curve. The stern, the back, does the same. It is double-ended. It can move forward or backward with equal speed. Now, the cosmetic work begins. The builders take their planes. They smooth the hull. They remove every splinter. They sand the wood until it feels like satin. Water hates roughness. Roughness creates drag. Roughness slows you down, so the hull must be perfectly smooth. Then, the coating, They mix a brew in a cauldron, pine tar, charcoal, and sometimes butter or tallow. They paint the hull black. The mixture soaks into the oak. It seals the pores. It makes the wood hydrophobic. It repels water. The ship turns a deep, glossy black. It shines in the flat grey light of the fjord. It looks like a shadow resting on the beach. The builders stand back. They wipe their hands on their aprons. They are covered in sawdust and tar. They look at their work. It is a masterpiece of engineering. It is the culmination of 1,000 years of trial and error. Every curve, every rivet, every plank is there for a reason. There is no decoration for the sake of decoration. The beauty comes from the function. The ship is empty now. There are no oars. There is no mast. There is no deck. Just the open shell. You walk up to the hull. You place your hand on the gunwale, the top rail. The tar is tacky. It is warm. You can feel the solidity of the structure. It is light, but it is strong. You climb over the side. You step down into the bottom of the boat. You are standing on the floorboards. They are loose, removable planks, so you can bail out water if it gets in. You look up. The sides of the ship curve above you, sheltering you from the wind. You are in a wooden canyon. The ribs of the ship arch over the floor, like the ribs of a whale protecting its heart. It feels safe in here. The wind is blowing outside. You can hear it whistling through the pine trees on the cliffs. Whoosh, hush. But down here, inside the hull, the air is still. The smell of the fresh oak chips and the warm tar is intoxicating. It is a drowsy smell. You sit down on a rowing bench, a sea chest. You run your fingers over the iron head of a rivet. It is smooth. It is cool. You think about the journey this wood has taken. It started as an acorn in the forest soil, 200 years ago. It grew slowly, ring by ring, in the dark winters and the short summers. It was felled by the axe. It was split by the wedge. It was bent by the fire. It was riveted by the iron. It was sealed by the tar. And now it is a vessel. It is ready to carry you. It is designed to hold you. The boat is a cradle. It rocks gently, even on the land, shifting slightly in the sand. You lie down on the floorboards. You wrap your wool cloak around you. You look up at the sky. The clouds are moving slowly across the opening of the ship. Gray fleece drifting west. You are contained. The ship is a barrier between you and the deep. The keel is below you, touching the earth. The strakes are around you, holding back the air. You are the cargo. The work of the day is finished. The hammering has stopped. The fire has burned down to embers. The blacksmith has gone home. The woodcutters have gone home. It is just you and the ship. The rain begins to fall again, softly at first. Pat, 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 then harder. Drum, drum, drum. It hits the outside of the hull, but it does not get in. The wool caulking holds. The tar repels it. You are dry. The sound of the rain on the hollow wooden hull is deep and resonant. It is like being inside a drum. It is a rhythmic, comforting thrumming sound. It surrounds you. It isolates you. The world outside, the fjord, the forest, the village, fades away. There is only the wood and the water. You close your eyes. You feel the potential of the ship. It wants to float. It wants to lift you up. But for now, it is grounded. It is heavy. You let your own weight sink into the wood. You let your breathing match the slow settling of the timber. In, out. The smell of the pine tar is a sedative, heavy, dark, ancient. You are safe in the dragon. You are safe in the shell. The iron holds. The wood holds. Rest. Rest in the hull. Sleep. Chapter 3. The Wool and the Wind. The black hull of the dragon ship sits on the beach. It is a masterpiece of oak and iron, a sculpture of curves that is ready to cut the water. But it is not yet alive. It is a body without lungs. It is a bird without wings. To harness the power of the wind, to travel across the open ocean without the exhaustion of the oar, we need a sail. In the modern world, we think of sails as light sheets of white canvas or nylon fluttering in the breeze. But the Viking sail was different. It was heavy. It was thick. It was a rug of wool that weighed as much as a horse. We are leaving the shipyard now. We are walking away from the fjord, up the steep, grassy slopes of the valley. We are going to the farmstead, to the Longhouse. The wind blows across the pasture. It is cold and fresh. It smells of grass and salt. Grazing on the hillside is the source of the ship's power. The sheep. These are not the soft white sheep of the southern lands. These are northern short-tailed sheep. They are tough. They are small and hardy. Their wool is multicolored, gray, black, brown, and white. They are built to survive the blizzard. And because they can survive the blizzard, their wool can survive the ocean. Let us look closely at the fleece. It has 2 layers. The outer layer is called tog. It is long, coarse, and water-resistant. It is like hair. It sheds the rain. The inner layer is called thell. It is short, soft, and downy. It traps the heat. The Viking sailmaker needs both. It is late spring, the shearing season. The farmers gather the sheep. Imagine the sensory experience of the shearing. The animal is warm. The wool is greasy. It is filled with lanolin, the natural oil of the skin. It makes your hands soft. It smells musky and sweet. They use iron shears. Snip, snip, snip. The fleece falls away in a single heavy sheet. It is dirty. It is full of twigs and earth. It is the raw material of exploration. They carry the fleeces into the Longhouse. It is dark inside. The fire in the central hearth casts a low, orange glow. The smoke drifts up into the rafters. Now begins the longest labor of the Viking Age. Historians tell us that it took more hours to make the sail than it did to build the ship. Think about that. Felling the trees, hewing the planks, riveting the hull. All of that was fast compared to the wool. It takes 2 tons of raw fleece to make 1 large sail. The women sit by the fire. They begin to spin. They do not have spinning wheels. Those machines have not been invented yet. They use the drop spindle. It is a simple tool, a wooden stick with a stone weight, a whirl at the bottom. Watch the motion. It is a rhythm that defined the lives of millions of women for thousands of years. She takes a tuft of raw wool. She teases it out with her fingers. She attaches it to the spindle. She gives the spindle a twist. It spins. Whir. It hangs in the air, spinning like a top. Gravity pulls it down. The spin travels up the wool, twisting the fibers together, locking them into a strong thread. She feeds more wool. The thread grows longer. Twist, drop, wind, twist, drop, wind. She does this for hours, for days, for months. To make a sail of 100 square meters, she needs 100 miles of thread. 100 miles, spun by hand, inch by inch. The patience required is absolute. You cannot rush the thread. If you rush, it breaks. If you rush, it is uneven. It must be uniform. It must be strong. The room is quiet, save for the soft whirring of the spindles and the crackle of the fire. It is a meditative space. The mind enters a trance state, watching the stone weight spin, watching the chaotic fluff turn into orderly line. Once the yarn is spun, it is time for the loom. We move to the back of the Longhouse. Standing against the wall is a massive wooden frame, the warp-weighted loom. It is upright. It leans against the rafters. The vertical threads, the warp, hang down from a heavy beam. They are kept taut by stones tied to the bottom, river stones drilled with holes. We hear the sound of the stones clicking together as the weaver works. Click, clack. The weaver stands in front of the loom. She walks back and forth. She passes the horizontal thread, the weft, through the hanging strings. She uses a sword beater made of whalebone or iron to slam the thread upward, packing it tight. Thwack. She creates a fabric known as vadmal. This is not cloth for a summer shirt. This is industrial fabric. It is thick. It is heavy. It is so tightly woven that wind cannot pass through it. As she weaves, she creates the pattern. The Vikings loved stripes, red and white, or blue and white. To get the color, they used the earth. For the red, they used madder root. They dug the roots from the ground, chopped them, and boiled them in iron pots. The smell is earthy and sweet. The dye turns the wool a deep brick red, the color of dried blood, the color of rust. For the blue, they used woad, a plant that, when fermented, creates indigo. The dye vats smelled sharp, like ammonia, but the color was the color of the deep sea. The weaver alternates the wool, 20 rows of red, 20 rows of white. The sail grows. It climbs up the loom, a massive tapestry of geometry. It takes a whole winter to weave the sail. While the snow piles up against the door of the longhouse, the loom keeps beating. Thwack, thwack. Finally, it is cut down. It lies on the floor, a square of heavy cloth, 30 feet by 30 feet. But it is not finished. If you took this wool cloth and put it on a ship, the first rainstorm would soak it. It would become heavy as lead. It would rot. The wind would blow right through the fibers. It needs to be proofed. It needs to be turned into leather. We take the sail outside. We stretch it out on the grass. Now comes the alchemy of the sea. The workers mix a potion. They take horse fat, rendered down into a thick yellow grease. They take fur tar, the same black sticky tar used on the hull. They take red ochre, a mineral powder from the earth. They mix it all together into a hot, stinking sludge. They get down on their hands and knees. They rub the mixture into the wool. Rub, smear. They work it deep into the fibers. The wool drinks the fat. It drinks the tar. The fabric changes. It stops being soft and fuzzy. It becomes sleek. It becomes stiff. It becomes glossy. It is no longer just wool. It is a composite material. The fat repels the water. The tar preserves the fiber. The ochre fills the gaps. They smooth it. They polish it. When the wind hits this sail, it will not pass through. It will be caught. The sail will belly out like a shield. It is heavy. A single sail can weigh nearly a ton when it is rigged. It requires strong men to hoist it. Now, we need the rigging, the ropes. We cannot use hemp. Hemp rots in the salt water. We need something from the sea. We travel to the coast. We hunt the walrus. The skin of the walrus is thick and tough. The Vikings cut the hide into long, continuous spiral strips. They twist the hide while it is wet. They dry it under tension. It becomes a rope of immense strength. The walrus rope. It is dark brown. It is rough to the touch. It smells of the ocean. It never rots. Or they use the bast of the lime tree, the inner bark, soaked in water, stripped and twisted into cordage. Everything on the ship comes from the living world: the oak hull, the wool sail, the horse fat waterproofing, the walrus rope. The ship is a collection of lives bound together to fight the death of the sea. The day of the fitting comes. We carry the heavy roll of the sail down to the beach. It takes 10 men to lift it. It is a burden of immense value. A Viking sail was worth more than the ship itself. If a ship sank, they would save the sail before they saved the cargo. It represented years of labor. They carry it to the black ship sitting on the water. They step the mast. The mast is a pine tree, tall and straight. It sits in a heavy block of oak called the curling, the old woman. They raise the yardarm, a horizontal beam of wood. They lace the sail to the yardarm with leather thongs. They pull the halyard, the walrus rope. Heave, heave. The heavy bundle rises, it unfurls. The red and white stripes catch the light. It looks massive. It blocks out the sky. It hangs there, limp in the still air of the fjord. It smells of the tar and the grease. It creates a massive shadow on the deck. The ship is complete. The wood, the iron, the wool, the fat. It is a unified machine. You climb aboard. You walk to the center of the ship near the mast. You sit on a sea chest. You look up at the sail. It is not just an engine for wind. It is a roof. At night, or when the ship is anchored, the sailors lower the yardarm. They turn it sideways. They drape the sail over the ship like a tent. They call it the tjald, the awning. You are sitting under it now. The heavy wool creates a ceiling. It blocks the gray light of the sky. It creates a warm, dark space inside the open boat. The wind blows outside. You can hear it snapping the corners of the fabric. Flap. Snap. But inside the tent of the sail, the air is still. The smell is comforting. It is the smell of a stable or a workshop. Lanolin and pine. The light filtering through the red and white wool is soft and pink. It warms the skin. You feel the gentle movement of the water beneath the hull. The ship is floating. It is alive. The keel is sensing the current. The ribs are holding the shape. The sail is waiting for the breath of Odin. But for now, there is no wind. There is only the calm of the harbor. You are safe inside the structure. You realize the amount of care that went into this shelter. Every thread was spun by a woman's hand. Every inch was woven with intention. Every rivet was hammered by a man who wanted to come home. The ship is made of care. It wraps around you. You lie down on the deck boards. You pull your fur cloak over you. You look up at the weave of the sail. You can see the individual threads, the warp and the weft, the crossing of the lines. It is a grid, a map of patience. Your eyes follow the lines, up and down, left and right. It is hypnotic. The rhythm of the weaving is still there, trapped in the cloth. Click, clack, click, clack. You hear the ghost of the loom. You hear the ghost of the spindle. Whir. It lulls you. The heavy smell of the tar makes your eyelids heavy. The boat rocks, sway, left, sway, right. The water laps against the black strakes. Lap, lap, lap. You are ready for the voyage, but the voyage hasn't started yet. You are in the moment between the land and the sea, the moment of preparation. The work is finished. The sail is bent. The ropes are coiled. There is nothing left to do. The wind will come when it comes. Until then, you rest. You rest under the wool. You rest in the wood, safe, warm, held. Sleep. Chapter 4. The Sunstone. The ship has left the safety of the fjord. The steep granite cliffs have faded into the distance, becoming nothing more than dark smudges on the horizon. The smell of the pine forest is gone, replaced by the sharp, clean scent of salt and cold water. We are out on the open ocean, the North Sea. It is a vast, grey wilderness. There are no roads here. There are no signposts. There are no mountains to guide us. And today, the world has disappeared. A heavy fog, a haar, has rolled in. It is a thick, white blanket that sits on the surface of the water. It swallows the sky. It swallows the horizon. It swallows the ship. You are sitting in the stern of the longship. The air is damp and cold. It clings to your wool cloak in tiny droplets. You look forward, but you cannot see the dragon head at the prow. It is lost in the mist. You can only see a few feet of the black deck, and the grey water sliding past. It is incredibly quiet. Fog suppresses sound. It muffles the world. The waves do not crash, they just heave. Swell, subsides, swell, subsides. The ship creaks softly, a low wooden groan as it rides the swell. In a modern ship, this would be a moment of panic. Without GPS, without radar, how do you know where you are? How do you know which way is north? But the Viking navigator, the styrimada, steersman, is calm. He is not afraid of the white void. He has tools that belong to the earth itself. He sits by the tiller. He reaches into a leather pouch hanging from his belt. He pulls out a stone. It is not a diamond. It is not a ruby. It looks like a piece of frozen water. It is a clear rhombohedral crystal, Iceland spar, or Silverberg, silver rock. To the uninitiated, it looks like glass, but to the navigator, it is a machine. It is a sunstone, Solarstein. Let us look closely at this object. It is a crystal of calcite. It was mined from the volcanic rocks of Iceland. It feels cool and smooth in the hand. It has sharp, geometric edges. Inside the crystal, the atoms are arranged in a specific lattice. This structure does something magical to light. It has the property of birefringence, double refraction. If you look through it, you see two images of everything, two horizons, two masts, but its true power is polarization. The steersman stands up. The fog is thick. The sun is completely hidden. To the naked eye, the sky is a uniform sheet of gray. You cannot tell where the sun is, but the stone can tell. He holds the crystal up to the gray sky. He closes one eye. He looks through the stone. He rotates it slowly. Turn, turn, turn. He is looking for a change in the light. As he aligns the crystal with the invisible polarization rings of the sun, the stone reacts. It darkens, or it turns a faint yellow. He finds the null point, the point where the two shadows inside the crystal have the same intensity. He stops. He points. There. Even though he cannot see the sun, the stone has found it. The sun is exactly there. He marks the spot on the rail of the ship. Now that he knows where the sun is, he can find north. He takes out another tool, the bearing dial. It is a simple wooden disc carved from driftwood. In the center is a pin, a gnomon. He holds the dial flat. He aligns it with the invisible sun he just found. He checks the shadow line carved into the wood. He turns the tiller. The great rudder swings underwater. The ship pivots. The bow swings back to the west. He has found the path in the trackless waste. It is a triumph of physics. Without batteries, without satellites, using only the geometry of a crystal, he has unlocked the sky. You watch him put the stone back in the leather pouch. He ties the drawstring. He sits back down. He is relaxed. The anxiety of being lost fades away. You are not lost. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. The ship continues to glide through the fog. Hiss. Glide. The silence of the fog is comforting now. It feels like a room with soft white walls that travel with you. You are in a bubble of safety. The crew is quiet. Some are sleeping, wrapped in their leather sleeping bags. Hood fat. These are large bags made of cowhide, oiled to be waterproof. They sleep 2 men to a bag for warmth. They are just dark shapes on the deck, breathing mounds of fur and leather. They trust the steersman. They trust the stone. You lean back against the gunwale. The wood vibrates gently against your spine. You look at the water passing the hull. It is gray-green. It is clear. You can see jellyfish floating past, pale, ghostly bells pulsing in the deep. Pulse, drift. The rhythm of the ocean is long and slow. The ship rises. Inhale. The ship falls. Exhale. It is a biological rhythm. The fog condenses on your face. It feels cool and fresh. It tastes of pure water. There is no land smell anymore. No dust, no pollen. Just the clean, sterile scent of the Atlantic. You think about the crystal in the pouch. It is sleeping too. It is waiting for the next reading. It is a piece of the earth guiding you across the water. The idea of polarization is soothing. The light is always there, even when you cannot see it. The sun is always shining, even behind the clouds. You just need the right lens to see it. You close your eyes. You imagine the light filtering through the fog. It is soft, diffuse, shadowless. It wraps around the ship. You are floating in a cloud. There is no up or down. There is no east or west. There is only the motion, the gentle, rocking motion, side to side. The wood creaks, a low, comforting groan. Creak, hush. The rudder holds the course. The wake trails behind you, invisible in the mist. You are suspended in the gray. You are safe in the unknown. There is nothing to look at. Your eyes can rest. There is nothing to hear. Your ears can rest. The white noise of the ocean fills your mind, a constant, steady wash. Let the fog cover you like a blanket. Let the moisture weigh down your eyelids, heavy, cool, still. Rest in the mist. Rest in the navigation. Sleep. Chapter 5. The Open Ocean. The fog that shrouded the Sunstone has lifted. The grey curtain has dissolved into the air, revealing the world again. But the world has changed. There are no mountains now. There are no trees. There are no birds. We are in the deep ocean. We are traveling west across the North Sea, heading toward the islands of the Orkneys, or perhaps the Faroes. We are miles from any solid ground. The water here is not the green of the fjord. It is a deep, dark, indigo blue. It is the color of ink. It is vast. If you look to the north, there is only water until the ice. If you look to the south, there is only water until Europe. If you look down, there is a mile of water between the keel and the sand. You are floating on the roof of an abyss, but you are not afraid. The ship, the Drakkar, rides the swells with a natural grace. It does not fight the ocean, it accepts it. The wind has steadied. It is coming from the east, a following wind. It fills the red and white striped sail. The wool is taut. It hums with the tension. The ship surges forward, hiss, slide. It climbs the back of a wave, pauses at the crest, and then slides down the face of it. It is a rhythmic, lulling motion, like a rocking chair pushed by a giant hand. We are going to look at life on board. In the movies, Viking voyages are loud, men shouting, shields clashing, waves crashing. But the reality of the open ocean is silence. There is nowhere to go. There is nothing to do but wait. The crew consists of 30 men. They are not sitting in rows rowing right now. The wind is doing the work, so they are resting. They are sitting on their sea chests. These wooden boxes contain everything they own. A spare tunic, a whetstone, a comb, a small statue of Thor. They are carving wood. They are mending clothes. They are playing Hnefatafl, a board game with stone pieces, on a board held on their knees. They speak in low voices. On a ship, you do not need to shout. The wood carries the sound. You are sitting near the stern, by the steersman. You look at the deck. It is crowded, but orderly. Every rope is coiled. Every weapon is wrapped in oilcloth and stowed away. The most important object on the deck right now is the hudfat, the sleeping bag. The Vikings did not have cabins. They did not have bunks. They slept under the stars. But they had a technology for this. The hudfat is a large bag made of cowhide or sealskin. It is tanned with fat and smoke until it is waterproof. The leather is thick, heavy, and smells of peat and animal musk. It is designed for 2 men. This is a necessity of survival. The North Atlantic is freezing, even in summer. A single man sleeping alone would lose too much body heat. He would wake up stiff, or he would not wake up at all. So they sleep in pairs. Bed brothers, they crawl into the leather bag. They share their warmth. They pull the flap of the bag over their heads to keep out the spray. It creates a microclimate. Inside the leather, it is warm, it is humid, it is dark. Looking along the deck, you see rows of these leather mounds. They look like seals sleeping on a rock. Occasionally, one of the mounds moves. A man shifts to get comfortable. It is a scene of vulnerability. These fierce warriors, who terrified the coasts of Europe, are now just sleeping men, wrapped in skin, drifting on a wooden leaf. You can feel the camaraderie here. It is the bond of the crew. Everyone trusts everyone else. The steersman trusts the lookout. The lookout trusts the sailmaker. The sleepers trust the watch. The sun begins to lower. The light turns golden, reflecting off the wet deck planks. It is time for the evening meal. There is no galley on a longship. You cannot light a fire on a wooden boat covered in tar. It is too dangerous. So the food is cold. The men open their chests. They take out the rations. Stockfish. This is cod that has been dried in the freezing wind of Norway until it is hard as wood. It is light. It never spoils. To eat it, you have to beat it. You hit it with the back of an axe or a stone to break the fibers. Then you chew it. It tastes of salt and the sea. It is pure protein. They eat it with flatbread and sour butter. They drink water from a wooden cask, or perhaps a little weak beer. It is a simple meal. Monastic. You eat your share. The act of chewing the tough fish is meditative. It takes time. The sun touches the horizon. The water turns purple. The wind begins to die. This often happens at sunset. The thermal currents shift. The sail goes slack. Flap. Flap. The heavy wool canvas sags. The ropes loosen. The ship slows down. The steersman looks up at the mast. He nods. Down sail, he says softly. The men move. They untie the halyards. They lower the yardarm. It comes down with a creak of wood on wood. They furl the sail. They tie it securely. Now, the ship is just a canoe. It is dead in the water. It bobs aimlessly. But we must keep moving. We have a destination. Out oars. The men sit on their sea chests. They open the keeper, the oarlock. It is a piece of wood shaped like a hook, nailed to the gunwale. They slide the oars out. The oars are made of pine. They are 16 feet long. They are balanced. The blade of the oar touches the water. Splash. Now begins the rhythm of the night. Rowing a longship is not a sprint. It is a marathon. You do not pull hard and fast. You pull slow and deep. Watch the motion of the rower in front of you. He leans forward. His back curves. His arms extend. He drops the blade into the water. He pulls back. He uses his legs. He uses his spine. He lifts the blade. He pauses. Dip, pull, lift, glide. Dip, pull, lift, glide. It is a metronome. The ship responds. It surges forward with every stroke. The sound is rhythmic. Thump, swish, thump, swish. The wood of the oar rubbing against the wood of the oarlock creates a singing sound. A low friction squeak. You are sitting on the bench. You are not rowing. You are the passenger. You feel the surge of the ship under your body. Forward and glide. Forward and glide. It is incredibly soothing. It is like being rocked in a cradle that is also moving across the world. The stars come out. Because we are far from land, the sky is overwhelming. The Milky Way is a cloud of diamond dust. The North Star Lydastjana, the guiding star, hangs steady off the port bow. The oarsmen do not talk. They save their breath. They fall into a trance. This is the rowing state. The mind detaches from the body. The arms move automatically. The brain drifts. They watch the water swirling from the oar tips. Little whirlpools of phosphorescence. Green sparks in the black water. You wrap your cloak tighter around you. The air is cold. You listen to the breathing of the 30 men. Inhale. Exhale. It creates a collective lung. The ship is breathing. You look out at the ocean. In the darkness, the waves look like moving hills. They rise up, block out the stars for a moment, and then sink down. The ship climbs them. The flexibility of the hull comes into play. You can hear the strakes shifting. You can feel the keel flexing beneath your feet. The spruce root lashings are stretching. The ship is twisting to accommodate the sea. It feels alive. It feels like you are riding on the back of a great sea serpent. This is why they put a dragon head on the prow. Not just to scare enemies, but to honor the spirit of the ship. You are safe on the dragon's back. The hours pass. The watch changes. Fresh men come out of the leather sleeping bags. Warm, sleepy men. They swap places with the rowers. The rowers, exhausted, crawl into the warm bags. They fall asleep instantly. The rhythm does not break. The ship does not stop. Dip, pull, lift, glide. You decide to lie down. You find a space on the deck boards near the center of the ship, where the motion is least violent. You lie on your back. You have a fur pelt under you, a reindeer skin. It is thick and dense. It insulates you from the wood. You pull the heavy wool cloak over your face to block out the starlight. You are in a cocoon of wool and fur. You can feel the vibration of the oars in the floorboards, a rhythmic pulsing. It is like a heartbeat. Thump, thump, thump. It travels up your spine. It relaxes your muscles. You realize how small you are, a tiny speck of wood and flesh in 1,000,000 miles of water. But this does not make you anxious. It makes you feel free. There are no borders here. There are no laws. There are no taxes. There are no kings. There is only the water and the physics of the hull. The ocean is holding you up. Archimedes' principle. The water pushes back against the wood with a force equal to the weight of the ship. You are being supported by the ocean. You drift. Your thoughts begin to unmoor. You think of the depth below you, the silent, cold water, the whales swimming in the dark. You think of the destination, a green island in the mist. But the destination doesn't matter right now. Only the journey matters. Only the stroke matters. The sound of the water rushing past the hull is a constant white noise. Shh. It washes away the memory of the land. It washes away the memory of the forest. You are a creature of the sea now. The cold air on your nose, the warmth of the fur on your body. The contrast makes the warmth feel sweeter. The ship rocks, left, right, up, down. It is the rhythm of sleep. The steersman stands at the back, holding the tiller. He is watching the stars. He is keeping the watch. You can let go. You are cargo, safe, dry, moving. Let the rhythm of the oars carry you into the dark. Dip, pull, sleep, dip, pull, sleep. Rest in the open ocean. Rest in the leather bag. Sleep. Chapter 6. The Ice of the North. The rhythm of the oars has lulled you into a trance. Dip, pull, glide. For days, the ship has been a wooden needle stitching a path across the grey fabric of the North Sea. But now, the rhythm changes. The ship slows down. The water around the hull is no longer the choppy, restless liquid of the open ocean. It has become heavy. It has become thick. We are moving north, far north. We have crossed the Arctic Circle. The sun does not set anymore. It dips toward the horizon, brushes the water with a kiss of gold. and then rises again. It is the land of the midnight sun. But with the light comes the cold. It is not the damp chill of the forest rain. This is a dry, absolute cold. It is a cold that tightens the skin and freezes the breath in the throat before it can even leave the lips. You are sitting up in the boat now. You pull your reindeer fur tighter around your shoulders. The fur is warm, smelling of the animal and the smoke of the curing fire. It creates a barrier against the biting air. You look over the side of the ship. The water has changed color. It is no longer ink blue. It is a milky, pale turquoise. It looks like liquid jade. This is glacial flour, rock dust ground by glaciers and suspended in the water. And floating in this milky water are the sentinels. Ice. At first, they are small. Growlers. Chunks of ice the size of a fist, or a dog, or a sheep. They bob in the water. They are clear as glass, or white as bone. As the ship glides through them, they bump against the wooden strakes. Thump. Scrape. Thump. Scrape. It is a hollow, knocking sound. The wood vibrating against the frozen water. The steersman stands at the stern. He is not worried. He knows this water. He nudges the tiller gently, weaving the longship through the field of floating debris. We are approaching the edge of the habitable world. Ahead of us, the fog bank lifts like a curtain rising on a stage. And there it is, the glacier. It is a wall of ice, a cliff of white that rises 300 feet out of the water and stretches for miles to the left and right. It is blindingly bright. It catches the low sun and scatters it. But it is not just white. It is blue. Deep inside the cracks and crevasses of the ice, the color is a shocking electric azure. This is the color of time. It is snow that fell 10,000 years ago, compressed by the weight of centuries until all the air bubbles were squeezed out, leaving only the pure blue crystal. The ship sails closer. The air coming off the glacier is a physical force, a katabatic wind, a river of cold air falling off the ice sheet and flowing out over the sea. It hits your face. It wakes you up. It feels clean, sterile, pure. The silence here is different from the silence of the open ocean. The ocean hisses, the ice waits, but occasionally the silence is broken. Crack. A sound like a cannon shot. A piece of the glacier, the size of a cathedral, breaks off. It falls into the sea. Splash. It happens in slow motion. The white mountain descends into the water. A massive swell rolls out. The Vikings call this calving, the birth of an iceberg. The longship rides the swell, up and down, gently, respectfully. We steer away from the wall. We are looking for land. We are looking for Iceland, or Greenland, the new worlds. The Vikings were the greatest explorers of their age because they were not afraid of the emptiness. They sailed off the edge of the map. They used ravens to find the land. We have a cage on deck. Inside are 3 black birds, Floki's ravens. The navigator opens the cage. He takes out a bird. He tosses it into the air. The raven spirals up. It climbs the column of air. If it sees land, it flies toward it. The ship follows. If it sees nothing but water, it returns to the ship. Today, the raven flies. It heads west. We follow the black speck against the white sky. And then, the horizon hardens. The mist clears. We see it. The land of fire and ice. Iceland. It does not look like the green hills of Norway. It looks like the moon. It is a landscape of stark, brutal contrast. The mountains are black. Volcanic basalt. Jagged peaks that look like broken teeth. The valleys are white, covered in glaciers that wind down to the sea like frozen rivers. Black and white. Obsidian and snow. We sail into a bay. The water here is protected. It is calm. We approach the shore. The beach is not yellow sand, it is black sand. Tiny grains of volcanic glass, ground down by the surf. The prow of the ship crunches into the soft black sand. Scrunch. The ship stops. We have arrived. You step out of the boat. Your boots sink into the black beach. The ground is firm. It feels solid after weeks of the shifting deck. You walk inland a little way. The vegetation is sparse, moss, lichen, low shrubs of birch. But there is something strange here, something magical. You see a plume of white steam rising from the ground ahead. You walk toward it. The air gets warmer. You find a pool of water, a hot spring. The water is bubbling gently. Blup, blup. It is turquoise blue, surrounded by white silica rocks. Here, in the middle of the freezing north, the earth is bleeding heat. The magma is close to the surface. It is a geothermal miracle. You sit by the edge of the spring. You can feel the warmth radiating from the water. It warms your face. It warms your hands. The steam rises up and mixes with the cold air, creating a fog that wraps around you. This is the contrast of the Viking life, the freezing, cold journey, and the intense warmth of the destination. The crew begins to set up camp. They do not build a house tonight. They use the ship. They drag the ship higher up the beach onto the grass. They prop it up with wooden beams. They take the great striped sail. They drape it over the ship, creating a massive tent. This is the landjald. You crawl underneath the hull. It is a long wooden tunnel. The floor is the black sand, covered with spruce branches and firs. The roof is the keel of the ship. You are sleeping inside the belly of the dragon. Outside, the sun finally dips below the horizon for a brief twilight. The sky turns a deep, bruised purple. And then the lights appear. The aurora borealis, the northern lights. The Vikings believed these were the reflections of the shields of the Valkyries, or the Bifrost Bridge to Asgard. Lie on your back on the firs. Look out from under the edge of the sail. Watch the sky. A curtain of green light materializes. It hangs in the air like a veil of glowing silk. It moves. It ripples. It is silent. It dances across the stars. Green, then a fringe of violet, then a pulse of red. It folds and unfolds. It breathes. It is a celestial river flowing through the atmosphere. It is hypnotic. You cannot look away. The light is soft. It does not hurt the eyes. It is a cold light, a ghostly fire. It illuminates the black mountains. It reflects in the calm water of the bay. It reflects in the eyes of the sheep grazing nearby. You feel a profound sense of smallness. You are a tiny, warm speck on a frozen island at the top of the world. But you are safe. The ship protects you. The fire protects you. The firs protect you. The silence of the north is absolute. There are no insects buzzing here. There are no leaves rustling. There is only the sound of your own breath, in and out. The air is so clean it feels like drinking cold water. You snuggle deeper into the reindeer skins. The hollow hairs of the fur trap your body heat. You are in a cocoon of warmth. You think about the ice you saw today. The massive, slow-moving glaciers. They are ice rivers. They move inches a year. They are the slowest things on Earth. Imagine the pace of a glacier. Heavy, grinding, inevitable. Slow down your mind to match the glacier. You do not need to rush. You do not need to be quick. You just need to slide. Slowly, steadily, down toward the sea of sleep. The northern lights fade. The sky returns to a soft, dark indigo. The steam from the hot spring drifts over the camp. You are safe in the land of ice. You are warm in the land of fire. The dragon watches over you. Rest, rest in the silence of the north. Sleep. Chapter 7. The Longhouse. The voyage is over. The ship has been hauled up the beach, placed on rollers, and dragged into the boat shed. The sail has been folded away. The dragon head has been removed from the prow to let the spirits of the land rest. The season has turned. The endless days of the midnight sun are gone. The shadows have lengthened, and the sun now hugs the horizon, a pale disk that barely provides heat. Winter has come to the north. The snow is falling. It is not the light dusting of the ocean. It is a heavy, blanketed silence. It covers the black sand. It covers the rocks. It covers the world in white. You are walking through this white landscape. The wind is blowing hard, driving the snow against your cloak. It is biting. It is hostile. But ahead of you, there is a shape rising from the snow. It looks like a hill. It is long, low, and rounded. Smoke is drifting lazily from a hole in the top. It is the Longhouse, the Longhouse. This is the heart of the Viking winter. It is the machine they built to survive the cold. Let us look at the architecture of survival. The Longhouse does not look like a modern house. It looks like a ship turned upside down. The walls are not made of wood planks. They are made of the earth itself. Turf. In Iceland and Greenland, trees were scarce. So the Vikings became masters of sod. They cut bricks from the bog. Thick, heavy rectangles of earth, held together by the tangled roots of the grass. They stacked these turf bricks in a herringbone pattern. Stack, pack, stack, pack. The walls are 6 feet thick. Think about that. 6 feet of solid earth between you and the wind. The turf is the ultimate insulator. It stops the wind dead. It traps the heat. It is living damp-proofing. In the summer, grass grows on the roof. Sheep graze on top of the house. But in the winter, under the snow, the house looks like a sleeping animal buried in a drift. You approach the door. It is low. You have to duck to enter. This is defensive. If an enemy tries to enter, they have to bow, exposing their neck. But it is also practical. A small door lets out less heat. You push the heavy oak door open. It swings on iron hinges. Creak. You step inside. You close the door behind you. Thud. The transformation is instant. The howling of the wind stops. It is replaced by a deep, muffled silence. The thick turf walls absorb every sound from the outside world. You are inside the womb of the house. Your eyes adjust to the gloom. The only light comes from the center of the room. The long fire. Langeldur. It is not a fireplace in the wall. It is a trench running down the middle of the earthen floor, almost the full length of the hall. Logs of birch and driftwood are burning. The fire is low and steady. It casts a warm orange glow that flickers on the wooden pillars holding up the roof. The air is thick. It smells of wood smoke, but also of life. It smells of dried herbs hanging from the rafters, dill, angelica, thyme. It smells of roasted meat. It smells of wool drying by the fire. It is a savory, heavy smell. You walk toward the fire. You hold out your hands. The heat radiates outward, warming the air in the entire hall. The smoke rises. It drifts up into the high vaulted ceiling. It gathers there, a blue haze among the beams, before escaping through the lyre. The smoke hole in the roof. This layer of smoke is useful. It coats the timber. It preserves the roof from rot. It smokes the meat hanging from the hooks. The hall is divided. Along the walls, on both sides, are raised wooden platforms, the benches. This is where life happens. During the day, people sit on the benches to work. They weave, they carve, they repair tools. At night, the benches become beds. There are no private bedrooms here. Everyone sleeps together in the great hall. The Jarl, the Lord, the free men, the servants, the children. It is a communal warmth. The walls behind the benches are lined with wooden paneling to keep the damp of the turf away from the sleepers. And hanging on the walls are the shields, painted red and white. They act as decoration, but also as insulation. You walk to the high seat, the Ondvegi. This is where the Lord sits. It is in the middle of the hall, facing the fire. The pillars here are carved with the faces of the gods, Odin with his one eye, Thor with his hammer. The wood is dark, stained by centuries of smoke. It shines with a dull luster. You sit down on a bench near the fire. You are sitting on a pile of furs, bearskin, sheepskin, wolfskin. They are soft and deep. You sink into them. You look around the hall. It is dim. The corners of the room are lost in shadow. It feels infinite, yet intimate. The firelight dances. It makes the carved dragons on the pillars seem to move. It is a place of total safety. Outside, the blizzard is burying the world. The snow is piling up against the turf walls, adding another layer of insulation. But inside, the temperature is steady. The Vikings called this innengards. Within the enclosure, the place of order. Outside was utangards. Beyond the enclosure, the place of chaos, the place of giants and wolves. You have crossed the threshold. You are innengards. You watch the embers of the fire. They glow red, then white, then gray. They shift and settle with a soft clink. The fire is the television of the Viking Age. You can stare at it for hours. You can see shapes in the flames. You feel a drowsiness settling over you. It is the winter sickness, the hibernation instinct. The body knows that the sun is gone. It knows that the cold is here. It wants to shut down. It wants to save energy. The rhythm of the Longhouse is slow. There is no rush to go anywhere. The passes are blocked by snow. The ships are beached. The fields are frozen. There is only the waiting. The women are spinning wool in the corner. Whir, whir. The men are sharpening knives. Scrape, scrape. A dog is sleeping by the hearth, twitching in its dreams. It is a scene of domestic peace. You lie back on the bench. You pull a heavy woolen blanket over you. The wool is scratchy, but warm. It breathes. You look up at the roof. You can see the sod heavy above the beams. You are literally sleeping under the earth. It feels grounding. You are buried in warmth. The sound of the fire is a white noise. Crackle, pop, hiss. It is the sound of wood giving up its energy to keep you alive. The wind howls outside. You can hear it faintly, a high-pitched whistle over the chimney hole. But it cannot touch you. The contrast makes you feel sleepier. The colder it is out there, the warmer it feels in here. You are a seed in the ground, protected by the husk of the turf, waiting for the spring. But spring is a long way off. For now, there is only the long night. The fire is banking down. The orange light is fading to a deep, sleepy red. The shadows are lengthening. You close your eyes. You feel the solidity of the bench beneath you. Oak planks, 3 inches thick. You feel the weight of the firs. You are safe in the Longhouse. The walls are thick. The roof is heavy. The fire is loyal. Let the smoke carry your thoughts up and out through the hole in the roof. Let them drift away into the snow. Empty the hall of your mind. Leave only the embers, glowing, warm, still. Rest in the sanctuary of the turf. Sleep. Chapter 8. The Feast and the Fire. The long night has settled over the north. The snow has drifted up against the turf walls of the Longhouse, sealing the doors, sealing the windows. We are completely cut off from the frozen world outside. But inside, the activity has changed. The spinning wheels have stopped. The wood-carving tools have been put away. The work of the day is finished. It is time for the reward. We are gathering around the long fire. In the center of the hall, the fire has been built up. New logs of birch and pine have been added. They hiss as the sap boils, then crackle as the flames take hold. The light shifts from a dim red to a bright, cheerful orange. It is time for the feast. But this is not a chaotic banquet of Hollywood movies. This is a slow, communal ritual of sustenance. It is about survival. It is about warmth. Let us look at the vessel of the feast. Hanging over the fire, suspended by a heavy iron chain from the roof beam, is the cauldron. It is made of riveted iron plates. It is black with soot. It holds 20 gallons. Inside, the winter stew is bubbling. Gurgle, pop. Gurgle, pop. The smell fills the hall. It is a dense, humid scent. It smells of salted pork. Meat that was preserved in the autumn, soaking in brine barrels, now rehydrated and tender. It smells of root vegetables, turnips, carrots, onions, things that grow deep in the earth and store the sun's energy. It smells of barley, thickening the broth into a heavy porridge. The lady of the house stands by the cauldron. She stirs it with a long wooden ladle. The steam rises into her face, softening her skin. She serves the food. She does not use ceramic plates. She uses trenchers, thick slices of stale bread used as bowls, or wooden bowls carved from ash wood. You are handed a bowl. It is hot. You have to hold it with the edge of your sleeve. You sit back on the bench, sinking into the furs. You take a spoon. It is made of horn, smooth, translucent, and warm. You eat. The food is heavy. It sits in your stomach like a warm stone. It spreads heat through your limbs. This is the fuel for the cold. Your body needs the fat. It needs the starch to fight the winter. As you eat, the silence of the hunger is replaced by the silence of satisfaction. Now, the drink. In the Viking Age, water was for washing. For drinking, there was ale and mead. The ale is weak and sour, but the mead is the drink of the gods. Let us look at the process of the mead. It begins in the summer. The bees collect the nectar from the heather on the hills. They make the honey. The Vikings collect the honey. They mix it with water. They add yeast, sometimes using a magic stick passed down through families, which is just a stick covered in dormant yeast cultures. They let it sit. They let it ferment. The sugar turns to alcohol. The liquid turns gold. Tonight, the Jarl opens a cask. The smell is overpowering. It smells of flowers, of wax, of summer sunshine trapped in a barrel. He pours it into the drinking vessels. The horns. These are the horns of cattle or aurochs. They are polished until they shine. They are rimmed with silver or bronze. You are handed a horn. You cannot put a horn down. It has no flat bottom. If you put it down, the drink spills. So you must hold it, or you must drink it. It forces you to be present with the drink. You hold the curved, cool surface of the horn. You lift it to your lips. The mead is sweet, cloyingly sweet. It burns the throat, then warms the belly. It brings a flush to your cheeks. The atmosphere in the hall softens. The tension of the winter dissolves. This is the symbol, the ritual of the cup. The horn is passed from person to person. It is a circle of trust. You drink from the same vessel as your neighbor. You share the same spirit. Skål, they say softly. Bowl. It connects you. The fire burns lower. The logs turn to charcoal. The heat becomes a radiant, pulsing glow. The food is eaten. The trenchers are fed to the dogs sleeping under the tables. Now comes the dessert, skyr. It is a dish that the Vikings brought to Iceland and kept alive for 1,000 years. It is not yogurt. It is a fresh cheese. Milk is skimmed. It is heated. It is fermented with a culture from the previous batch, just like the sourdough bread. The whey is drained off. What is left is a thick, white, creamy substance. It is served in a wooden bowl, with a little honey or berries preserved in ice. It is sour and cold. It cuts through the heaviness of the meat. It cleanses the palate. You finish the skyr. You are full. You are experiencing the heavy eyelids. The combination of the heat from the fire, the heaviness of the barley stew, and the sweetness of the mead acts like a heavy blanket pressing you down. You lean back against the wooden wall. You look around the room. The faces of the people are illuminated by the firelight. They look soft. The sharp lines of the day are gone. The smoke hangs in the air, a blue haze that softens the edges of the room. The wind outside is still howling. Whoo! But it sounds distant now. It sounds like it belongs to another world. Here, in the center of the Longhouse, there is only warmth. You watch the smoke curl up toward the smoke hole. It drifts up, lazy and slow. It twists and turns. You follow it with your eyes. Up and out. Up and out. Your thoughts drift with the smoke. You are not thinking about the raid. You are not thinking about the harvest. You are not thinking about the ship. You are just existing, digesting, resting. The Jarl stands up. He signals to the Skald, the poet. It is time for the story. But the story is not loud. It is a bedtime story for the hall. The Skald picks up a small harp, a lyre. He plucks a string. Pluck. The note hangs in the smoky air. But that is the next chapter, the final chapter. For now, stay with the feeling of the feast, the fullness, the warmth, the safety. You wrap your furs tighter. You slide down on the bench until you are horizontal. The wood is hard, but the sheepskin is soft. You watch the fire. The flames are mesmerizing. They dance. Orange, yellow, blue. Flicker, fade, flicker, fade. Your eyes are closing. The horn is empty. The bowl is empty. You are full. Rest in the abundance of the hall. Rest in the company of the fire. Sleep. Chapter 9. The Skald and the Sleep. The feast is over. The wooden bowls have been wiped clean with bread. The horns of mead have been drained and set aside. The heavy iron cauldron has been lifted off the fire and set on the stone hearth to cool. The energy in the Longhouse has changed. During the meal, it was a place of community. There was the sound of chewing, of swallowing, of low conversation. But now, the community is dissolving. The individuals are retreating into themselves. The winter sickness, the hibernation, is taking hold. The fire has burned down. The bright, leaping yellow flames have settled into a bed of deep, pulsing red coals. The light in the hall is dim. The shadows in the corners are growing, creeping toward the center, swallowing the benches. It is time for the final ritual of the night. It is time for the Skald. The Skald is the memory of the Vikings. He is the poet. He is the historian. In a world without books, he is the library. He sits near the high seat. He is an older man. His beard is gray, braided with silver rings. He wears a cloak of blue wool. He picks up his instrument, the lyre. It is a small harp, carved from a single piece of maple wood. It has 6 strings made of sheep gut. He places it on his knee. He tunes it. Twist, ping, twist, ping. The sound is faint, but in the silence of the hall it carries. It is a pluck of pure vibration. He begins to play. He does not play a fast dance tune. He plays a drone, a slow, repetitive strumming that mimics the sound of the wind or the sea. Strum. Hum. Strum. Hum. He begins to speak. He does not sing. He chants. It is a rhythmic poetry called Galdralag, magic spell meter. He tells the story of the Yggdrasil, the world tree. This is the perfect image for sleep. Imagine an ash tree, not the oak of the ship, but a tree so large that its branches hold up the sky. Its roots go down into the deep earth. One root goes to the land of men. One root goes to the land of giants. One root goes to the land of the dead. The skald describes the stillness of the tree. It stands in the center of the universe. It does not move. The stars rotate around its branches like leaves. He talks about the Norns, 3 women sitting at the base of the tree. They are the weavers of fate. We saw the weavers earlier, making the sail. The Norns are doing the same thing, but they are not weaving wool. They are weaving time. Spin, measure, cut, spin, measure, cut. The skald's voice is low and gravelly. It vibrates in his chest. It vibrates in the wood of the bench you are lying on. He tells of Odin, the All-Father. He tells how Odin sacrificed his eye to drink from the well of wisdom. He tells how Odin wanders the world in a grey cloak, seeking knowledge. But tonight, Odin is resting. The gods are resting in Asgard. The bridge to the sky is closed. You listen to the words. They are old Norse words, heavy, guttural. You do not need to understand every word. The sound is enough. It is a stream of language flowing over you. The fire pops softly. Pop. A spark flies up and vanishes in the smoke. The heat from the embers is a physical weight. It presses you down into the furs. The sheepskin under you is soft. The bear fur over you is heavy. You are sandwiched between layers of warmth. Your eyes are heavy. You blink. The figure of the skald blurs. He becomes a shadow against the red firelight. His voice seems to be coming from far away. He is telling the story of the beginning, the Ginnungagap, the yawning void. Before the world, there was only silence. There was only ice and mist. You are returning to that void. The story winds down. The strings of the lyre slow. Pluck. Pause. Pluck. Pause. And then silence. The skald puts his hand over the strings to stop the vibration. The story is finished. The history is told. The hall is absolutely quiet. You can hear the breathing of 50 people. A slow, collective rhythm. In. Out. The Jarl signals. It is time to sleep. There is no movement. Everyone is already where they need to be. They just slide down. They pull the blankets over their heads. The hall becomes a dormitory. The fire is the only thing moving. The embers shift, clink. The red light pulses slowly like a dying heart. It gets dimmer and dimmer. The shadows cover the room. You are lying in the dark, but it is a warm dark, a safe dark. You think about the layers of protection around you, the furs, the wood of the bench, the thick turf walls, the snow piled against the walls, the darkness of the valley. You are in the center of a nesting doll of safety. The wind outside tries to find a way in, but it cannot. The Longhouse is a fortress against the winter. You think about the ship on the beach, the dragon. It is sleeping too, covered by its sail, the tar hardening in the cold, waiting for the spring. You think about the ocean, the waves rolling in the dark. But you are not on the ocean. You are on the solid earth. You feel the gravity holding you. You are grounded. Your legs are heavy. Your arms are heavy. Your eyelids are sealed. The skald has stopped singing. The weaver has stopped spinning. The builder has stopped hammering. The Viking age is at rest. The violence is gone. The noise is gone. There is only the peat smoke and the silence. Drift into the smoke. Drift into the history. You are safe in the hall. Rest, rest, sleep.